we saw the name Meteora, we liked it because it was just epic and cinematic, powerful and dynamic, and that's what we wanted our album to sound like.
Meteora is actually a series of rock formations in Greece, and on top of these rocks, some monasteries were built centuries and centuries ago. And when you look at the pictures, they're quite unbelievable in that you have no idea how they actually got these structures built on top of these rocks and how anyone ever got up there. But the pictures were just breathtaking and epic, and they inspired us to try to create sonically what we were seeing visually.
It's a really ambitious title for a record, but I think that we were really ambitious about making this record. We really wanted to put a lot of time and effort into it to make it a perfect Linkin Park record. I think that that's also carried through in the art of the album, and also will also always be there through the visual aspect of the band. We want what you see to seem like something that's larger than life and fantastical. I think that the parallel between our music and our artwork has always been there, even with Hybrid Theory. The idea of bringing heavy elements and softer elements of music together was represented through the visual art of the album with the Soldier and the Dragonfly Wings. The really hard, jaded looks with the really soft, frail touches is something that we like to do. We're even going further with this one.
One of the ways that we wanted to tie everything together was through the idea of a work in progress. People don't usually get to see how an album is made or how the whole thing that they're holding is put together. They just get the CD and it's like it fell out of the sky. They listen to it and there it is. So that's it. That's all there is to it. In our case, we wanted to show people all the stuff that goes into that, because I think that stuff is just as interesting and sometimes maybe even more interesting than the actual finished product.
The idea really wasn't about representing what the music is, but kind of representing what the process is. And so we focused our attention toward the process and rather than what the music is, because I think our music will speak for itself. And now we want to focus on a different aspect of what we're doing.
Hey Mike, whose concept was this? Whose concept was this? It was his concept.
Frank and Joe and I are usually the starting point for most of our art projects. Joe being our DJ and Frank being our art director.
Mike and I actually met at art school, and that's how we met, and that's kind of why we're here doing the artwork.
Joe and I were doing that before we were in the band together. We've been doing music and art forever.
That's a big part of where Mike and I come from. We're artists, visual artists, we're painters. When we do our music, it's not just music we're putting out there, we're putting out images also.
They really care about the artwork a lot. They cared on the first record, and they care more now, and I just think it worked for them. A lot of bands don't really care, a lot of labels don't care, but these guys happen to really respect what all of us do, what they do, and they want to, have some cool stuff.
So whenever we have something come up like this, we always really want to be part of it because it's a lot of fun for us. We get to do something that we like doing.
We have to do stuff like this to justify us going to art school. Art school is expensive.
We were working on the new album and we're working on Reanimation at the same time. We knew we were going to really have to get started with the artwork because we were kind of pushing everything at really fast speeds, trying to get everything together really quickly.
Doing it this way is new, And it's cool because we've been in the studio and touring for the past couple of years, so it's cool to actually create an excuse to get out of that situation and create artwork.
We wanted to get them out as soon as possible. So that being the case, we knew that we needed to get a head start on the art. And the best way to do that in our minds was to do kind of a production piece, kind of something big that Frank, our art director, could kind of take and manipulate.
What's happening today here isn't necessarily going to be what ends up being the album cover or anything in specific, but I'll just basically try to make sense out of everything and maybe collage some things together. This is like the first step in an evolution of the process.
I think basically what we're looking for is just to capture little photos and document it somehow.
You know, we'll have to take a look at it, and I think James is kind of in the process of shooting snippets of things. You know, I'd like to get lots of little details of things. We'll also shoot the whole thing as a whole, get some great shots of that, and just kind of see how it makes sense. You know, this stuff might find its way in the back of lyrics or as an ad. This stuff will have a lot of uses.
Start off, Boris, just give me your name.
Boris.
We were looking through some books to see who we wanted to work with, and Delta's portfolio came across, you know, in the mail.
My graffiti name's Delta. I got an email like, you feel like doing this, and yeah, I thought it was cool.
We've been big fans of his for years, so it's cool to be able to finally work with him.
There was a photo of him just kind of like halfway finished with a piece that we thought, this is exactly what we want to do. Something that really embodied where we're at, whether it's music or art or whatever.
Boris is not just a graffiti guy. He's a fine artist. You can see in all of his work that he takes great care in putting together a sketch and great care in turning that sketch into something that goes on a wall.
I don't really feel like being a graffiti artist. I mean, that's my background, like graffiti, and I incorporated a lot of other different stuff in it. I studied product design, university, like industrial design engineering. And while in university, at one point I thought, hey, wait, maybe I can design letters as being objects, like stuff you can hold. And then, I started experimenting with that.
With a satellite that's up on the 2-3 panels of our piece that we worked on, he originally did as a pencil sketch on graph paper, and then he darkened it and copied it to acetate and projected it on a wall, and then went in there with this certain kind of spray paint he likes to use. And that's when you can really see that he came up through the ranks of being a graffiti artist. I mean, his control with a spray can is just unbelievable. It's almost like he had a marker. He just made a line. It's that straight and it's that clean. And there's no like fuzzy edges or anything. He just gets up there and uses it like an extension of his own hand.
Well, I knew it was going to be like 4 panels. I thought they'd be a lot smaller, but it's nice that they're big actually. And I brought a big pack of sketches with me, and we discussed like, all right, well, what shall we do? And Frank, the art director, had some ideas like, yeah, maybe this and that.
I always kind of have some idea, you know, I cut stencils and bring some Xeroxes and bring some stuff, but I don't know exactly how it's going to end up. Especially when you're working with 3 other artists, you're going to be going over top of somebody's stuff and, you know, working with someone's stuff. It's kind of a process-oriented thing.
A little bit of pre-planning, but mostly it's just free form. We knew we wanted to put Boris's city, almost this cubist cityscape thing, as the main element that ties all 4 panels together, and then everybody else's work will kind of just live around that.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, the stuff I do tends to come out kind of evil. I guess I got some evilness in me. My stuff is more like a little more sinister than what Mike does, and Delta's got that, you know, the whole dimensional thing going on, which no one can really compete with. And Frank, his like collage stuff, man, is just gritty and raw, and it's like, it's got a lot of vibe to it.
We used everything from spray paint to house paints, acrylics, Xeroxes, wheat paste on the Xeroxes, pretty much everything.
At the point when we did the art day, the music was close, but the lyrics weren't there yet. They kind of were progressing together. We had an idea of what the music was going to sound like. We didn't really have an idea of what the lyrics were going to be like. So as you can see on the piece, you've got like scribbled lyrics and words like cuidado and all these things that Chester was writing. When you look at those little lyrics and the words that are there, you'll notice that most of them aren't on the album anymore when you listen to it. And I think that's really represents what we were doing.
Well, I think the big mystery behind music is like where it comes from within a person. It's no mystery how music gets made and how music is recorded. Everybody knows how that's done, and everybody knows there's a process to that. What's always the eternal mystery is how do they do it? How do you come up with these kinds of sounds? How did you think about creating this type of art?